I'm speaking with Marirose Rehagen in response to her recently winning an award for some of her poetry. So let's ask her about that. Marirose, what exactly is this award and who offers it?
The Westminster Presbyterian Church over in Portage, which is on the east side of West Midge. They've been offering an art award for like 15 years, I do believe. However, I think it was in the last 5 years that they added poetry to the art award, and the artists would be in many mediums that they would display in the church, you know, not the church really, but the meeting halls at the church. And then they started adding poetry to that. And the theme, as I understand it, has been more the earth, nature, climate change, those kinds of issues. And I think it goes back to the 15 years. Last couple of years, now that they're doing the poetry piece of it, they're also printing the poetry up in a book form, so that all the poems, as I understand, that were submitted will be in a book, and you can all take a look and read it.
So you'll be published.
Yeah, well, you could call it that. And so how did I get started in it? I heard about it. I've only been in this area for now 6 years. And I heard about it, the awards that they were giving about 3 or 4 years ago. I did enter the art award. I put a submission into that, and then my life got really busy, and I didn't do that again. And then about 2 years ago, maybe, I submitted a piece of poetry. And then it came around again this year, and after having some lovely walks in my vineyard and inspired during that time, I wrote a couple of poems, and I submitted this one in particular, and one other one, and this one that I will be sharing with you won an award.
Wow.
Much to my delight.
So how many submissions were there that you were in competition with? Do you know that?
I don't know that, and they didn't say that during the award ceremony, so
Okay,
I don't
very
know.
good. So how long have you been involved in writing poetry? I know you've been to art. You've submitted some of your work to the various opportunities that we've had here to raise funds, and I think everybody was very impressed with them.
Well, they like them, so that's nice. It's rewarding, and my house fills up with art, so I need to shed it. I actually enjoyed poetry as far back as I can remember. I remember listening to my mother recite poetry, and all of a sudden she'd spout out, "Blue Ben Adam, may his tribe increase, awoke one night from the deep dream of peace." And she'd go on, and I'd say, "What is that?" And she would tell me, and she just loved literature. She never went beyond 8th grade education. During the, you know, she had to go out and work, help support the family. But it always, it sunk into my soul. And then through school, you had to memorize poems, deliver them sometimes, which I always enjoyed. And then I remember as an adolescent, I'd start to pen a few thoughts in poetry form, feelings. And it's when it hits me. It's nothing I studied. Certainly there are poems I like, and I tend to read poems that are short and to the point and move my spirit. So I enjoy poetry.
So is it fair to say you get some inspiration and then your poetry springs from your heart somehow?
Somehow. I wish I knew how, somehow. But if you're open, for instance, I walk my dog in the local vineyard most every morning. And the 2 latest poems that I have written were inspired by those walks. I would often go walking, and it might be the weather, it might be the breeze, it might be the way the light sparkles off the crusted snow, whatever. And next thing I know, I have words coming into my heart and soul, and I can never remember them all. I try to, And then when I get home, I try to put them to paper as best I can.
Okay. Well, maybe now's the time to share with us the poem that won you the prize here and made you immortal.
Made me immortal. Okay, the title of this poem is The Air We Breathe. And it was a wonderful day. Breeze was gentle but present for sure. The air we breathe, the ins and outs of it all. The cool air that embraces me, enters me, refreshing me. I welcome you in me. Maybe there is one God that rests above, beyond all the names for God we create, even above and beyond the names for the God I deeply love. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, love. The air we breathe, the trees breathe in and out, up and down. The same air I breathe, the trees breathe. The birds, the bees, the plants and animals that inhabit our whole earth breathe. We all breathe together, mostly not knowing where it comes from or where it goes. Who lived with it for a precious moment? Who released it for all to share? We breathe, we live. The wildest of animals breathe. The closest animals we hold and love breathe. Everything, everyone, somehow, some way, we breathe in the breath of life. Whose life? Children starving breathe. Wounded warriors breathe. Tibetan monks, construction workers, flowers, snakes, and creepy crawly things breathe. Our whole creation breathes all the time, in and out, up and down, in darkness and in light. We, creation, breathe. The air we breathe has been inside the folks we know and those we never heard of. Some breathing still, some long gone. Scientists, authors, doctors, saints, popes, inventors, artists, hunters, healers, all, our whole earth breathes. Each in and out of air I live in embraces our whole earth mother. And everything we know or have or yet to discover breathes. Even the oceans and mountains, fields and plains, we all share the breath of life. We live in and through and by the breath of life until we are the breath of life. Until finally we exhale and give all of it back. Each moment, each year, each age, we receive and we give back. We are one body, more fully when we know it, more fully when we consciously share it. Breathe.
That was very touching, Marirose. And obviously, to hear you recite it, you can tell the feeling that you've put into that. And I thank you so much for sharing it with us. And hopefully, once your book becomes published, somebody will approach you for the movie rights, or who knows what fame awaits you.
Well, I'll hold you to the copyright.
Hey, thank you again. I'm sure the audience that shares this video will be very much in gratitude for you having done this. So thank you again.
Thank you for asking me.